You had to ask some questions, right? But hopefully no answers. It's hard not to answer, right? I hope you experience that reaction that you have to just wanting to answer whatever you hear. Okay, so the last little warm-up improv we'll do before doing some real improv. So 2 more.
So now you imagine us tomorrow, like pitching, and somebody from the audience asking a question, and do you think it is?
Yeah. Asking a question back.
It's got to be you blaming it.
Exactly. Excuse me. So, Elisa? Okay. And one more? Todor. Great. Come on down. Save you for next. Okay. So, these two are going to do our last little warm-up here. They're going to have a conversation again. Just a conversation. And here's how these two are going to do it. Either one of them can start, and I want them to make a statement. A nice statement, full sentence, right? No questions. The other person is going to listen to the statement. The other person is going to say the words yes and then make a new statement, agreeing with the first statement. Why are they going to agree? Why? Because they said the words yes and, right? So every statement that each person, each actor here is going to make will begin with the words yes and. Okay? So yes and a new statement. No questions. What does yes and make this scene look like?
Continuous.
Yeah, it's going to make it continuous, make them agree, right? No disagreements. We should not see what we saw Shar and Rosina do. What? Hopefully, no discussion. Why is it kidding? No, we're improvising. Okay, so yes and. What? We should not hear any yes buts. What's a yes but?
Disagreement.
Yeah, it's a disagreement. Whenever you hear someone say yes but, they are disagreeing with you. So we should not hear that. We should only hear yes ands, no questions. Finally, last bit of advice I'm going to give them is to have some good eye contact with each other. Okay? So, what's a topic? A topic for them, please?
Global warming.
Global warming. Fabulous. Okay, so yes and, okay, statements only, no questions. Topic is global warming. Take it away.
No.
No, yes.
Finally?
Go ahead.
Food
no.
and Babson.
Food and bags.
No.
There's
Global
no.
warming, take it away.
Global warming is here today.
Yes, I think we could feel it. Yes, and I think we could feel it.
Yes, and I've read today that Atlantic ice is going to melt very soon.
Yes, and we'll have enough water.
Yes, and it would be salty water, and there will be no Netherlands to go to.
Smoke wood.
There will be no Netherlands.
Like the Netherlands.
Yes, and
Yes, and we could go somewhere else.
yes, and there will be no chance to ski for us. No winter, no snow.
Yes, and we'll be able to do water skiing.
Okay. Thank you. Audience, I'm going to start with you. Did we learn something? Yes.
Yes, and
We did. We learned quite a bit. No more Netherlands. We're going to get some salty water, right? Forget skiing. Water skiing is the new thing to do. We learned a lot. Did the conversation go somewhere? Certainly,
Yes,
right? Certainly. Yes, and it did. Right? So surprisingly, even in a topic they didn't want to talk about, they're able to go somewhere and do something with it. Why do I do this exercise? I'm not even going to talk to them because they clearly had a good time with it, right? Pretty easy to do. And you'll all do this in just a moment. The reason I end with this is because remember when I mentioned that there's a framework that you train in order to improvise, in order to do what those professional comics do. You just learned it. It was that last exercise. This is it. I call this the 5 habits of highly successful improv comics. And the 5 habits, or the 5 rules of comedy, of improv comedy. Number 1 is that you always agree, or you always think in your mind, yes and. You don't deny what someone else has said. Why? Well, you experience this. A disagreement doesn't go anywhere. We don't learn anything. We don't create anything. And in comedy improvisation, where we don't have any scripts, we don't have any props, we have nothing, we have to build a scene together. If you disagree, you won't be able to build something. So you want to agree. You want to have the mindset of yes and to keep the conversation moving. You heard Theodore say that. Keeps it going forward. Number 2 is to not ask questions. Why? Why should you not ask a question to improvise? You experience this. What happens with questions?
I won't say why ask questions when you finish. So I kind of disagree.
You're not sure what the answer would be.
Yeah, you don't always know what the answer is. Good. So remember, I said this is a team sport, right? You are co-creating a scene with another improvising actor. And if you ask a question, you're putting all the work on that other person. A lot of pressure. You're not co-creating. So you don't want to do that to your partner. Why else?
You're not moving forward.
You're not moving forward. You, in fact, go home and watch Whose Line. You will rarely see them ask questions in a scene, except for the questions game. And if someone does ask a question, you will see a stop. The action slows. So you don't want to ask questions. And as you said, you don't contribute anything. So it stops the action, doesn't move it forward, making your partner do all the work.
But you
So
win time.
you want to just avoid them in improv. Yes?
But you win time this way. I mean, when, for example, going back to the pitches, when somebody asks a question, you're not sure about the answer, you need a few seconds to figure out what you want to say. It's a good way to
We'll
actually
talk
slow
about
down.
that. We'll hold that thought. It's surprisingly, you think time moves a lot faster than it does. So you don't need to have crutches like that. We think we do. We think we need to stall and come up with something to fill time. You don't. People won't notice. So questions, at least in improv comedy, you want to avoid. Of course you will ask questions in real life. Of course you will face questions. You have to be ready. Yeah.
What does it mean, the 4th point?
Yeah, I'm getting there. So number 3 is listen, and of course it should probably be number 1. This is critical in improv. You have to listen in order to build a scene. Number 4 is this is adding information, means you want to add substantive material to the scene, not just filler, yes, well, perhaps, this, that. You want to actually say, well, then we will go water skiing, right? We heard some really good substantive content. So you need to, because the scene is short, you don't want to waste time, people will get bored. So in improv comedy, it has to be substantive. You want to add information, good information, so the scene can go somewhere. And finally, eye contact. Why is eye contact so important? What does eye contact do for you?
You follow the other person.
Good.
The report.
Builds rapport, you're following, so you're really paying attention to what's happened, you're building a relationship. What else?
You're trying to make more conversation than being on the scene.
Good, good, good. So you'll be able to create more flow here. Anything else?
You encourage the other person to speak.
Good, good. You're encouraging your counterpart, right, to get more, yeah. What
It's
else?
on psychological level. You understand what the person next to you thinks, and by experiencing the body language.
I'm going to extrapolate that. So what they've shown is that eye contact is actually critical for our listening. So try this, this evening. Try not looking at someone when you're talking to them, and how much do you actually hear? Eye contact has been, and also the amount of information that we portray by our facial expressions and our gestures, there's a lot of content that you're missing if you don't have eye contact. And in fact, in improv, you saw Wayne Brady, the actor in that, so, right, he's doing all these motions, right? Or if I go like this, if I start going like this in the room, what am I doing? I'm cleaning, I'm sweeping. If you didn't look at me, would you know I was doing this? No, I haven't talked about sweeping or cleaning at all. And so in improv, we do all these actions to add information, and I don't have to say a word. Similarly, you can read people's, you get a lot of information from people's faces. So you learn a lot about their psychological state or how they're feeling, and so adding the right information at the right time can only be done if you have eye contact. So all of this is how you improvise. This is how comedy improv actors do it. And Pitar said this in the very beginning when we started this. What do you not see? We're talking about comedy improv. What's missing from this list? What's missing?
Smile.
Yeah, being funny.
Smile.
Smiling, humor. So notice there is nothing about being funny. There is nothing about humor. And the idea is that the humor will happen naturally. That it happens because you've been able to create a scene and build some information. And from there, the humor comes. So you don't have to worry about being funny. You just have to learn the framework and the foundation. So what I want you to do is actually, let's do one more exercise before I have you start applying this. Let's get 4 people to come down. 4 people. 4 people. 1, 2, 3. You already came down with me. Let's get someone else. I know. One more. You awake enough? You want to come? Yeah, I know. Let's get one more. Come on. Great. Okay. Great. Okay. So these 4 are going to tell a story. What's the name of a story that's never been told before? Name of a story.
SEP 2012.
What is it?
SEP 2012.
This is our program.
SCP.
Yes, no. What about it? Let's give them something.
Setting Babson with the food.
Yeah.
Seppi's food? How's that? At Babson? Is that?
It's okay.
Yeah.
We need a
It's
subject
essential.
though. We need somebody, we need a protagonist.
Food in Babson.
That's not a subject. That's a,
It's a subject.
we want a person.
Food is a subject.
It's a story. We want a
Let's
story.
add pressure to the story. Pressure and
Our
food
experience in
Precious experience in Babson.
How about Pesha's dining experience?
Yeah.
Pesha's dining experience at Babson. So this is a story that none of us have heard before, correct? We don't know it. That we don't. This is. It could be the future. It could be the past. We don't know. This is Pesha's dining experience at Babson, and here's how they're going to do it. Just as you saw the improv actors, they are going to do this one word at a time. So they can only contribute one word. So how will they do this? Well, they're going to follow my rules. They are going to listen, right? You have to listen to the word that was right before you. You have to create a sentence that makes sense in English. They can't ask each other questions. They have to agree with what's been said before. Obviously, they can't deny or start over. They have to add the right information, right? Not filler. They have to continue the sentence. And finally, eye contact will probably help them, right? So, Pesha's dining experience at Babson, a story we've never heard. So, take it away, one word at a time. Go ahead.
dining
Ian?
In the breakout room.
One word.
Break.
One word.
Break.
out.
Was amazing.
With
Special because he
ate
a lot eclairs. Like
no
body else.
Pesha. Pesha.
He
put
many potatoes in
presentation
and after special
did
research about food
in
Babson. The chef
One word.
of the
Kitchen.
the team
of
Corsfield struggled with
American
desserts.
Okay, okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna have you take a seat. We're gonna critique that. As good improv critiquers, what do we think, audience? Good story?
amazing.
Always the whole pressure.
It wasn't enough of me in the story. It should be more of me.
Did anyone understand what happened?
No.
No.
Pesha ate eclairs and made a research about food.
Yeah, well, did they? I mean, I think there were potatoes and a presentation. I wasn't really clear what happened with Pesha's dining experience. Why?
Because you introduced a topic which allows indoor jokes, which you can't understand maybe.
Right.
Indoor jokes in
No,
the
good,
team
good,
of them.
good. So let me build on that. So
Yeah.
if I were to ask any one of you to tell a story of Pesha's dining experience at Babson, any one of you could come up with a fabulous story. We can all come up with, or I can come up with a great story. I haven't even seen him eat. But I can come up with something wonderful. So we can all come up individually with stories, but that's not how it works in improv, right? You can only contribute one word, so you have to work together. You co-create something, so you have to let go of this control. And it's hard to do. So this is why our actors, this is a first-time story. We can't be experts at first. This is a skill that needs practice. I'm sure if we asked each one of them, they had a fabulous idea and a great story in mind, but coming together, we don't hear it. So that's the challenge with improv, is being able to let go enough of your own story and your control to contribute to the co-created improv that happens in the moment. Let's do one last exercise. So the one thing I'll have you do tonight is, actually, do you want to see it? We can do 2 more improv exercises. I'm going to have you practice on your own tonight. What do you want to do? We can do 1 more and then talk about how to roll it into presentations, or we can do 2 more and very briefly.
2
okay,
more.
2 more. Okay. Let's get 4 more actors up here. 4 more. 4 more. Come. Quickly. Todor, okay? You already came up.
Yeah, but they don't want to go to the...
Well, I'm going to cold call them. Who hasn't been down here? Boguslav, wonderful. Cassie, you haven't come down yet. And yes, Elena, great. Okay, no, you can come. Have you already done one? You already came up, didn't you? No, you didn't. And Theodore, I'm going to have you do a special. Actually, no, I'm going to have Pesha do it because you had a special role in the last one. Okay. Oh, I have 5. Okay, we'll do it in the next one. So these 4 are going to tell another story. What's the name of a story that's never been told before? New story.
The beach of Florida, of Miami.
The beach, okay.
The beach of Miami.
I have an idea. How do vegans eat meat?
Come on, stop doing that.
We'll do tour on the beach in Miami.
Beach in Miami.
Okay?
Let's put the Little Red Riding Hood on the beach.
Great! On the beach in Miami. This is a good setup. Okay, so Pesha is going to be our special role in this. So here's what's going to happen. Come here. Okay, so here's how they're going to tell the story. They're going to tell the story, they're going to be freed up. Because often people complain they only had 1 word in the last exercise. So now they will keep telling the story for as long as Pesha is pointing at them. Okay? So when he points at somebody, they talk and they tell the story. Then he moves away and points the next person. They pick up the story exactly where the last person stopped and continue telling the story. He moves away, the next person continues, and so on. So we, as an audience, shouldn't even know that there are 4 people. It should seem as if there's 1 person telling the story. Okay, so this is called a conducted story, and Pesha is our conductor. I'm going to have him kneel just like this.
Can you repeat the topic again?
Yeah, I'll get there. So come here, right here, and you point at whoever you would like to start, and you move away. You hold it as long as you're pointing.
I want to propose to you.
Okay. Okay. So now it is Little Red Riding Hood on the beach in Miami. Okay, that's the story. Take it away.
Let's roll.
So the Red Hood went to Miami's beach and started to undress Solid.
When she was naked, her grandma came to the beach, and she had a relationship with the wolf. They both were.
We were going to put lotion on her body because the sun is very hot in Miami, and she has to protect her skin, although she has a hat.
But after it, they decided to go to the ocean and swim together.
And then they saw the huntsman. He was swimming in water towards them.
To catch some whales.
But then he saw the wolf that was going to attack the Red Hood.
And since the Red Hood was all in lotion, she couldn't drown down in water. And
and she stayed on the water and decided to
go down on her grandma.
But then she said, "Come on, let's go to the disco."
And there she met the hunter who already saved her, so she was ready to...
So she finally put her Red Riding Hood on, and she took him to her room in the hotel.
And then she decided to play a little movie game.
Okay! Okay, audience. So, what was the name of the story?
Little Red Riding Hood on the beach in Miami.
Did we get Little Red Riding Hood
Yes.
on the beach?
Yes.
Did we?
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, the ocean experience.
It was the sequel.
Yeah, I think we jumped ahead.
No.
We jumped ahead. We did not really see much of what happened on the beach. There was a lot of, I mean, I think we inferred a lot of what was happening. But if I were to ask any one of you to tell what happened in the story, it would be hard to do. Why?
Because it was a lot of inappropriate conclusions.
Right, because you're making a lot of assumptions in the telling of the story and in the listening of the story. And I want to caution you, because we tend to do this, especially when we know our material very well. We think others simply understand what we're talking about and can make those inferences, and they can't. You have to be very clear. If you notice in the demo day presentations, the ones that were really good, spent a good deal of time explaining very simple concepts. I think of even the money lending one to Latin America. The way he told that situation, you heard that same situation, what, 3 times? He so clearly explained what the situation was, how the process works, and how they were improving it. Right? So you have to be very clear, and this is a big problem that entrepreneurs tend to do, is they get so focused on their idea and they think everyone understands and sees the situation as they do. And we don't. We miss a lot of facts. So one caution there. Last little exercise and then we'll wrap up. Let me get, was it Nikolai? Yes, come on down. He's going to do this one alone. All right.
Let's give him a clap.
So give him a topic that he doesn't know anything about, please. Topic.
Nuclear weapons.
Nuclear weapons. Okay, wonderful.
He knows something.
So you know anything?
He's an engineer. He knows something.
No.
Something with flowers. Let's
Okay, flower arranging. Flower arranging.
With
Do you know
dancing.
anything about flower arranging? Flower arranging? No, okay, good. Okay, so class, I am thrilled to introduce you to Nikolai. He is a guest speaker here with us today. He has come here especially to talk about his expertise, which is flower arranging. I know you're all super interested in flower arranging, and we are so lucky to have this guy because he can tell us all about it. So, round of applause, please.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to see so many people that are really passionate about flower arranging. Now, do you remember that garden in front of the president's house in Sofia that was arranged by designer hired by Sloan Passy for the interests of NATO? Yeah, so you remember it. You were there and you checked all the arrangement. You remember all the flowers going from the center, like symbolizing the NATO symbol and stuff like that. Do you know who was the designer of this? You. Yes, I was the designer. And I'm really happy that somebody at least have been there and have seen all my labor and many sleepless nights that drawing. Yeah. What you don't know about me is that I'm really good at drawings and singing. By the way, singing is very important.
Okay, thank you. So, tough to do, right?
Yeah.
Why?
I was wondering whether to discuss how flower arranging will outperform nuclear weapons.
So we put him on the spot. I mean, that's tough. This is a very difficult exercise. In fact, there's been surveys of what people fear. You've probably seen this. you know, what are the top what's the number one thing that you fear in life? And people fear public speaking more than they fear death. So this is a challenge for many of us to be able to calm down. Worldwide. Worldwide, in fact, and the other thing, eye contact, I wanted to mention that people often associate eye contact with lying, and it's been totally unproven. There is no connection to eye contact and lying, but they've done a worldwide survey of this. Every single culture thinks that if you don't have eye contact, that you're hiding something. So very important to be aware of who you're paying attention to. So these kind of cultural common things. So public speaking is more fear than death, hard to do. And we put him on the spot of a topic he doesn't know. And important to think about these rules. Why? Do you know something about flower arranging?
Yeah, he's a master.
I told him he was a master, right? He was an expert. What does he need to do? He needs to think yes and, right? I am an expert and here's some information. Instead, he asked a question, which is very dangerous. Because anyone could have said, no, I don't know what flower arrangement you're talking about. How could he have turned that? I would have said, to follow the improv rules, who cares? Is that what you said? Yeah. Who cares on what?
The question,
yeah, it could have been, right. You could have said, right, you all have seen the flower arrangement in front of the president's house. Isn't it glorious? Here are how the flowers are arranged. This is what we mean when we talk about flower arranging, right? We all know something. You've seen flower arrangements. Yeah.
If somebody answered yes, I would also say that I'm the designer, and obviously I'm not that good at it. So I would make jokes.
Right. So
both
but
ways.
You don't need to, right? And it would. So in this exercise, why did I have you end with that? Well, to think about how to use these rules for public speaking. So I'm going to
politicians that actually speak over and over, but they don't say anything.
Sorry?
Like politicians, that you can hardly extract any valuable information from what they're saying.
That's right. Yeah. You don't want to do that, right? Because people see through that. They see through artificial statements.
But I think it was a good thing for him to do now. I mean, you just speak like a politician. You don't say anything, but you speak talking.
But we won't think of him as an expert. Yes.
Or another way to continue what Nick said, he could have tried to make a story and go to the do you know the cucumber story, where you're given a topic you don't know anything about, but you're a very good expert in cucumbers, and you just start telling the story, and you know that this thing is so similar to cucumbers, and cucumbers are, and so on and so forth, and where you're an expert in it. So to basically turn the story around what you know. This is another technique.
I think that's dangerous, and here's why. I think people see through when you change the topic, when you try to talk as a politician, or when you start talking merely about something you do know. Mm-hmm. What I'm pushing you on here, and why I'm saying he does know something about flower arranging, we all know something about flower arranging, is when you don't know something, right, you can figure out what you do know. But think now as entrepreneurs pitching your company, where you are so aware of what your company is, what it does, the market, and so on. You should be able to call upon facts about things you do know when you need to. Mm-hmm. So not to relate it to something that's easy, but to push yourself to come up with the right facts. So that's what I hope you will do with improv. So what I wanted you to do, and you can do this tonight as you prepare, is to look at your presentations, think back about what you would change, how can you incorporate some of these improv ideas to prepare for tomorrow. And I want you to take these lessons, right, of improv, and use them in turning crisis into opportunity, because you will get questions that you're not ready for in the presentation. You need to learn to listen to be able to answer the question, be comfortable with this uncomfortable state, those exercises that we did, to be able to look confident, be an expert, right? Call upon facts that you do know. And what I want you to especially pay attention to is that you do need to prepare. You heard Bogoslav say that. It's about preparing, knowing your facts, anticipating what may happen, and using these improv skills to react well. Because there are questions that will come up in tomorrow's presentations, correct? How will you answer them? How will so you should, just like the negotiation yesterday, be prepared. anticipate what people may have concerns about, or maybe something that you haven't articulated well. So what I'm handing out now are just a couple articles that you can look through tonight about how improv is being used in the field, both in interviews and it's called Learning Improv Can Help in Any Fields, so getting a job, etc. And also a personal improv review for you to think about how you did it with your own improv skills. So we're over time, so if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I do want to be mindful of time. So sorry for running a little late.